Whoa! What is he doing? He won't be able to bind Goyusha from the soul. Hey everyone, this is Kermit. I bring you another standard match. So today we are going to be looking at a bit more of a fun match. Over there on the left, we do have Market Watch Danny piloting my Avantgarda build, which the deck profile should be posted later this week. Definitely a very controversial kind of build, as you are seeing with the Die Lander here, searching out the Die Base and then searching out a Die Mariner to put into Soul. It is very unconventional. And it kind of works, but it's not really going to work in this video, unfortunately. But of course, on the right, you have myself playing Seriphogila. Of course, being myself a very much a Stoicheia main, what else do I have to do but play Stoicheia Dragon Tree? Unfortunately, this is not really my build. This is a build I found on Twitter, and I found that it works pretty good, except for the fact that, you know, you only have 3 attacks, which... Technically, you can get up to 5 attacks if you're playing a Stoicheia build, but it's very clunky. I made a short on it. Go watch it. A lot of people seem to enjoy it. Anyways, back to Avantgarda. We're going to be riding into the Blue Death Star there. We are playing the rest of the Avantgarda line. And a really big misplay here. You're actually supposed to play an order every single turn. There's a lot of cards that are there to facilitate it, but because Danny did not play an order, huge misplay there, by the way, he's not going to be able to countercharge off this either. So we're going to go ahead and just take that damage, heal trigger, whatever. Putting the second blessing into Soul, the energy charging the 3. Can I just say that I'm so glad we don't have to play Gryphoseed in the main anymore? Because if you saw like my last Dragon Tree deck profile, like the regular Seriphogila, we were playing like 3 copies of or Gryphoseed in the main deck just so that we could ride and actually have a turn. It was pretty funny. But what are we doing here? Oh, we're getting our markers. We're gonna go ahead and call out the Depth Illith. As you can see, I totally forget to put a marker. I'm like, oh, search cards, get search cards, which is something that I always do. Some decent amount of cards in hand. Unfortunately, we don't really have much to play. There really isn't too much to do in Seriphogila in your first couple turns. I mean, normally that's what you do, but, you know, that's kind of par for the course for Dragon Tree. Gonna be hitting a crit here, swinging in for the 20k, just gonna be blocked out with the 15k guard there, drawing to a heal. Pretty typical. This is one of my decks after all. It's going to finally ride into the Avantgarda, and that is finally going to allow us to search out the new broken-ass order, which is absolutely insane. Just all the effects that it has. Of course, we'll go over that once we see it. We also don't have any rear guards on the Avantgarda side. This deck is, I mean, like, Avantgarda normally only has like 1 rear guard it really cares about. So playing just that one, I guess. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway, here is Resilience. Read that card text and tell me that it is not broken. Anyways, going to be using Avantgarda skill, putting it into the Soul. So now we have the ability to search out Persona Ride if the attack doesn't hit. And then, of course, we do have the Versatile Assembler here, which is a card that you're supposed to play on turn 2 because it lets you search out the grade 2 order if you don't already have it in your opening hand. So we're going to actually search out the 1 singular copy of Deathwinds in the deck. Now, this Deathwinds would be actually really good if we had managed to play that grade 2 set order during the last turn, because that means we would have been able to actually use Resilience plus Deathwinds, which does actually give you the extra, the skill of Deathwinds. It's worded really weird, but actually Resilience doesn't give your Vanguard any skills. It gives you skills, so it's like a final rush kind of deal here. I don't want Danny searching out the Persona Ride, so I am just going to opt to take it. I am at 1, and Seriphogila is a deck that does need like 2 CB going into its grade 10 turn, just because you need to be able to create like 2 markers, and then hopefully you draw into a Blitz order, and then that gets you to your 5, because you're basically just trying to accelerate your game state to 5 markers, so that you can get triple drive every single turn. But I'm going to throw down 2 15k here to make this a OT to pass, and we're just going to swing the last Vanguard there for for 10. Just gonna intercept. One thing you do need to remember when playing Seriphogila is you need to get rid of your dragon trees, because you need something to bind from the drop zone for the second skill in order to get triple drive. So if you're not like calling them down, intercepting them, it can be kind of difficult. I mean, you always have the Mask of Hydrium, which you can also bind, as well as any Persona rides that hit the drop zone. But generally, it's just going to be the Wretches, which is why the grade 2s tend to be pretty good for the deck, just because, you know, you can intercept them, get them into the drop zone pretty easily. So now I should have one more marker here, because I did do the Depth Illith, and then riding into the grade 10 does give you yet another marker. Unfortunately, it's not like Seriphogila, which gives you 2, so like kind of annoying. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and call down the Abyss Alvis here. I do have 2 CB, so I should be able to get those last, or I might be able to get those last 2 markers. I just need to find one more card that can give me another marker, and then I can use Seriphogila's EV3 to call something and get that last marker. But we're gonna go ahead and call out the Shadow Cloak, dumping probably the wrong one. I think the correct order is always you play 1 copy of Nectar, you play 1 copy of Gather Upon Me. I think you always just dump the Gathering, because it's between the two, Nectar is much more usable when you draw into it, whereas sometimes you can draw into Gather Upon Me and not be able to use it. But looks like I do actually already have Gather Upon Me in my hand. I'm thinking about whether I want to play it or play the Mask of Hydrium, because I do need to see one more Dragon Tree Wrench here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use Seriphogila's skill. We found the second wrench that we needed, or the third one, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and call it. I think I still have a Mask of Hydrium in my drop, so or in my deck. So we're going to go ahead and use that Death Illith skill here. Searching out the last Mask of Hydrium. Once again, forgetting to put my Dragon Tree marker. Oh, there it is. So now we've got some pretty good columns here. We got our 5 Dragon Tree markers. Before we use the second skill, we have a Dragon Tree Depth Illith in the drop zone from last turn, so we should be able to just bind that, get triple drive, and then I do technically also have Gather Upon Me, so I can totally just use that as well. Gonna do a little bit of a cheeky play here, call the Alvina, add the Blessing card back, and then we're just gonna discard it right away for the Gather Upon Me. Completely unnecessary, but just a little bit of BM there. So as soon as we bind something, we will have quad drive, which is honestly the only thing this deck really has going for it. We're going to go ahead and I have a second Alvina. I'm just going to go ahead and commit it and just add the Gather Upon Me back to my hand for next turn. Yeah, because there isn't really anything else. We're going to go ahead and bind the Depth Illith there. Energy charging a total of 5 cards, giving our Vanguard an extra 25k power. So the one good positive with Seriphogila is your Vanguard is always fat as fuck, and then having like triple drive is also pretty nice. And then you do deck thin a lot in the deck, so you do have a decent chance of actually hitting those triggers. But this is going to be PG with the Elementary. You can do 4 drive checks, 3 blanks, and a critical trigger. Another nice thing about playing Seriphogila is most of the time your columns tend to be like the exact same number, so like you don't really have to think too much. Because if you're looking at this, we have 18k and a 20k column, and they both have 2 markers, so that's another 10k. So this normally 20k column is just plus 10k, so it's 30, basically just 1 force marker. And then of course the other column is 18 plus 2 Dragon Tree makes it 28, and then the trigger makes it 38. So we're gonna be swinging in, gonna be blocked with a double trigger there. So going back to Avantgarda, he wasn't able to search out the Persona ride, but it looks like we have it anyway. So this is going to be a 4 attack Avantgarda turn, pretty much guaranteed here. The one problem is we don't actually have any strategies in our order zone, which is Avantgarda's big problem. I think like the biggest way, if you want to actually solve Avantgarda, you just need to give them a way to unload all of their orders from the hand. Like just playing 1 every single turn is not enough. It is nowhere near enough. Yeah, as you can see here, especially when you have Richter. I can't believe they gave us Richter, a card that says, oh, you should have 2 orders in your order zone every single turn, and then they proceeded to give us no way to fix that, which is like, why would you do that? It basically just means you only ever have 1 Richter turn, assuming everything goes right for you, because if you try and go Richter into the next turn, you only get 1 order. But anyways, pretty big power turn here from Avantgarda. I say power turn, but realistically, like, Avantgarda is not doing shit here. We're going to drive check 2 cards there, another Assembler as well as the Resilience. Actually, a really big misplay there by Danny. You're actually supposed to hit triggers on your drive checks. I'm pretty sure he didn't know that, though. We're going to go ahead and use the Refractile Dragon, using it to call itself out. Doesn't really matter too much where you call it. Basically, what it's going to be doing here is evening out the other column, because that other column, the Sabine, is going to be getting an extra 10k thanks to the 2 Vanguard swings that we are going to be seeing here. And then, you know, that's going to be a 10k booster for Assembler there. Unironically, Assembler with this scenario can also be a booster, because Refractile Dragon was called by a card ability that does make him that makes him a booster, which is just like kind of funny to think about. That's just a weird interaction. But with that, both of these columns are going to be 40, so we're gonna go ahead and swing. I did get a defensive here, so these are still both 20k guards, which is fine, I think. But I'm gonna go ahead and just take that. Gotta get him out of heal range, as we're gonna go ahead and guard and intercept. And we're actually gonna intercept with the Depth Illith. As I was saying before, you do need to get those into the drop zone, which is why the grade 2s are actually pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and draw for turn here. Looks like we have Persona Ride? Unironically, like, I have so much trouble finding Persona Ride when I play Seriphogila sometimes, despite the fact that it's searchable with Mask of Hydrogen. But you know, it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and EB3, checking the top 5, getting yet another marker. I decided to place it over there because I don't know what's gonna be coming out from the top of the deck, and it might actually need it. As we are gonna be calling a Shadow Cloak off the top. Unfortunately, not going to be able to use its skill just because of, you know, the Stoicheia curse, where every single thing has to be from hand. Just because, you know, Stoicheia being the deck that has access to the most recursion, you know, they kind of just have to put all those guardrails on the deck for whatever reason. Yet another funny Seriphogila interaction here. We're going to call the Shadow Cloak, and we're going to mill Twin Cast. Twin Cast, if you didn't know, gives your Vanguard 5k power for each of its grades. Now, normally that only goes up to 15 or maybe 20 if you're on a grade 4, but with Seriphogila, it's basically a second over trigger, just because, you know, you're at grade 10. We're going to go ahead and throw out the Gather Upon Me. Going to go for that quad drive here as we bind. Going to go ahead and keep the Mask of Hydrogen. You technically don't want to bind your Mask of Hydrogen because, you know, you can actually add it back with things like Alvina. You can add it back with Bis Alvis. We're going to go ahead and Energy Charge 5 here, and then we're going to EB7 just to draw another card. You actually just, like, the amount of tankiness that Seriphogila just randomly has is also kind of funny. Like, it's a very tanky deck, but, like, the thing that's, like, going against it is the fact that it is just, you know, 3 attacks, at least in this Stoicheia build, since this isn't my Stoicheia build. We're going to go ahead and quad drive there, Persona Ride, PG, critical trigger, and final check is going to be a front trigger. Yeah, you tend to hit a bit more triggers than normal in Seriphogila, like I said, because you're deck thinning every single turn. You have your grade 2s that are searching at your Mask of Hydrogims, so it tends to be pretty easy to actually hit triggers unless you're like super lucky, or super unlucky, I guess. And then your rears just get fat for no reason, because you're hitting triggers, and then you're literally scaling basically every single turn that you live. You just scale higher and higher. As this other attack for 2 damage is going to be PG'd as well. This other attack for 45 going to be taken, damage checking a PG. 0 defensives there, just looking at the damage on Avantgarda's side. And it looks like we don't actually have a Persona Ride, but we do have the Resilience, so I guess we can search it out. As we're just going to go ahead and play that, and we're going to go and slide it to Soul, and draw a card, get 5k. That's going to allow us to basically guarantee search Persona Ride, because we're going to swing with our Vanguard first. I'm at 5 damage. I can't afford to take it, so that's going to allow us to, you know, actually get Persona Ride. But at the same time, this is a 26k attack. There's no chance of it restanding, because I am obviously going to PG this. And we're going to go ahead and do the Twin Drive, blank and blank. Yet again, misplaying by not hitting any triggers there. But I mean, you can see that we've been deck thinning pretty consistently. Our deck is actually pretty full of triggers on the Avantgarda side. We're just not good enough to actually hit them. But without the double Vanguard attacks, this is just going to be a 15k Sabine, and then that other column just swinging in for 20. Kind of sad. Those are like Vice Cougar numbers. What's up with that? But you know, we got Persona Ride for next turn, assuming we live, ignoring the fact that we're out all of our PGs because we Elementaria'd on the first turn, and you know, we used 2 PGs that last turn, and our last PG went to damage. Yeah, just ignore that. And also ignore the fact that I drove check a Persona Ride on the last turn. We're gonna go ahead and energy charge 3 here, and then we're gonna go ahead and oh wait, did I forget to Persona Ride? I think I totally did, because we definitely had a Persona Ride in hand, right? Unless I'm just like crazy, which is, you know, is also a possibility. Just gonna be calling out Persona Ride from the deck there, and adding another Dragon Tree marker. Shadow Cloak gonna retire, just making a little bit of a better column there, 23 as opposed to 18 or 20. I'm gonna go ahead and energy charge 5, I believe. Yeah. But of course, one of those things is not like the others. I accidentally put a Dragon Tree marker into my energy zone. It's not really gonna matter, as I don't know what I'm thinking about here. Oh, I'm thinking about going for the disrespect play of just going quad drive. I think I'm just gonna go for it because we're gonna use Bist Alvis to add back the order, and then we're gonna go ahead and play it, discarding any order card. I have 2 blitzes in my hand. I figure, oh, let's just discard that one. Gonna give us quad drive. I should be EV70 here, but like honestly, at some point your deck becomes like super filtered that you end up just like drawing your triggers anyway. So it's like whatever. But it looks like we're going to go ahead and swing with the Seriphogila here for 53. Even without Persona Ride, we're super stacked because we basically have that Alvina is basically just a Kusi because she's just a 15k booster. And these other columns are getting pretty fat as well. 18, 28, 33. Okay, not that big, but the fact that I didn't have to do anything to get it is like kind of what's, you know, holding it together, I guess. Just because like those are just cards that are utility. Like Shadow Cloak doesn't do anything else. So we're gonna no guard this, crit, heal, almost forgetting to heal, and then a PG for extra salt in the wound. Ooh, we are gonna see a 6 damage heal here, but thanks to that crit, he is gonna have to check another one, but it's not gonna happen. So that's gonna be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do 2 things: like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
You fool! You absolute buffoon! God damn it! What are you doing, man?
You know what these are really used for? Add this to my hand.
What?
So if I can play together on me. How are you gonna guard this?
Oh no, bro!
1, 2, 3.
You absolute buffoon!
This deck is scary.
45 tiers.
She has a skill to prices to get plus 10, so if I do that, it'll be
Oh my god.
31.
This one right here is 10, 20, 40. This one right here is 10, verbal 40. You don't get the search.
Oh, wanna bet?
Unless you're bouncing it
With Alchemagic?
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah! No, you're not ready for this. Check this shit out. I'm gonna send Protection Twin Cap.
This ain't looking good. You heal?
I don't want to heal, bro.
Oh boy.